what I know about my own life and what I think is true of the story that Glenda shared with us is that we're always awesome human beings. But sometimes we show up as a bad snapshot of ourselves, right? We show up in a way that doesn't reflect the awesomeness that we really are. And so I think that this entire topic this month, as we move into springtime, is perfect for us because it gives us an opportunity to really take a look at the way we're showing up in the world. Take a look at the choices that we're making so that we really do grow into consistently showing up as that awesome human being, expressed, not covered up, see, because we're always that. We are always this radiant being that cannot be, tainted or tarnished in any way. We just can show up a little bit unskillful or a little bit inappropriate sometimes. So this is what we're talking about. This idea that, I love what Jean Houston says. She says, we're in Earth School. We're humans. And everything that we do, every choice that we make, every opportunity that comes our way is a time for us to learn what it is that we came to learn and to express our mastery. That's part of Greg Braden's work, to express our mastery at this walk in the world, this soul's journey. And so what I know about this is, like with the son of Mahatma Gandhi, the only real failures in life is we're growing into this capacity to express our awesomeness all the time. The only real failure is not learning from the mistakes or from the missteps or from the unskillful actions that we might make along the way. That's the only failure that we ever step into, is simply not learning what it is that can move us to our next most radiant way of being in the world, to bring forth this highest self, this most refined self, because it's always there. It's always there. And I love what our authors tell us. We are, each and every one of us, is the center of the divine purpose of the world. Do you believe that? You are that. You are the center of the divine purpose for which this entire universe exists. And this universe, this world, is filled with light, it is filled with grace, and it is filled with God. And we are part of that. We are that all the time, whether or not we know it, and whether or not we show it. We're always that. So it's always right there waiting to be expressed. We cannot lose it. Nothing can take that energy of the divine away from us. There's nothing that we can say, do, be, think that can ever take away the essential essence of our divinity that we really are. But what I know, and I know it's about my own journey, we can forget who we are. Isn't that the truth? We can forget our awesomeness. We can forget our radiance. We can forget our beauty, depending on what's going on. And part of it is sometimes we're just unskillful. Have you been unskillful in your life experience before? Have you misstepped? Have you been angry? Have you been mean? Have you been stingy? Have you been judgmental? Have you been greedy? Have you been jealous? I mean, who hasn't? Who hasn't? We are unskillful sometimes. Like I said, this idea, we're a bad snapshot of our beautiful, radiant essence sometimes. And it doesn't really capture who we are, the truth of who we are, does it? When we're unskillful, when we misstep, when we've got this stuff going on in our life experience. That's a limited expression of who we are. That, whatever that is, whatever that is. And sometimes we forget who we are because we've bought into what somebody else tells us we are. Yes. We buy into the story that we have been enculturated with, whether it's, the society that we're in, our religion, our family system, our schools, whatever. We believe something about ourselves is not the truth, and we forget who we really are within our experience. Maybe we believe all of the media hype about needing to be as thin as a pencil to be beautiful. Maybe somewhere along the line we got that message. Maybe we believe we're unworthy, unlovable, that there were damaged goods for some reason or other. And we forget who we really are. We've bought into something that somebody told us or that we picked up. Sometimes we just pick it up, right? It gets imprinted on us, and we're innocent, and well, who knows where that came from. But somehow, through osmosis, we absorb something that's not very beneficial for us. And then we start believing that. I love this. The case of the mistaken identity. You know, that's not who I really am. But that's who I believe I am sometimes. So I picked this image of the ugly duckling. Remember the story of the ugly duckling? Poor little guy, his egg got misplaced, and his egg hatched in the midst of a bunch of ducks, only he was a swan. See? But he didn't know he was a swan. He didn't know his divinity. He didn't know his beauty. He thought he was supposed to look like all those other guys, those little ducks. And everybody made fun of him and told him he wasn't beautiful and that he wasn't smart, he wasn't capable, he wasn't a duck. Yeah? He had no idea who he was. And the story goes on. And this is what I think is really important, and this is why we're in spiritual community. And this is why one of the 3 precepts and the 3 jewels of Buddhism is community. He didn't know who he was until he grew up, got some refined awareness, saw his own reflection in the lake, and looked around at the people he was keeping company with, other beautiful swans, other beautiful people in a community, and realized his radiance in that moment. This is what I am. I'm a swan. I'm beautiful. I'm not a duck. See? We have to really examine who we think we are. Where'd that come from? Like Lisa would say, whose is that? Or Miriam, whose idea is that? Does that really belong to me? We're at a choice point all the time, like Brenda said, to remember who we are or to go on forgetting. To remember who we are or to go on forgetting. David, go to the next slide, please. And so here's your mantra. If you don't take anything from this talk today but this, here's your mantra. Help me to see the truth about myself. Help me to see the truth about myself, who I really am. You know, in Buddhism, it's the original face before I was born. It's that stardust. Let me remember I am stardust. I am that magnificent radiance of the universe. I love a story about Michelangelo. You know, his whole work, most of his work, was about uncarved blocks of marble. He'd stand before this huge rock, and it is said that he would say that he sees within that an angel, or a David, or a Pietà, or whatever. He sees within that, you see? And this is what I think is important. It is reported that he says, the beauty is already there. Just like us. The beauty's already there. I don't create beauty. God creates beauty. My job is to chip away everything that gets in the way of the beauty and let it shine forth. This idea of releasing the inner splendor of that, whatever that is. That's our job. Get rid of all this stuff that gets in the way of us remembering who we really are. We're always at choice to forget. We're always at choice to forget. I love the work of Adyashanti. We're working with his book, The End of Your World. It's a wonderful book. And what he says is that within the truth of our being, within the very essence of who we are, there is an inherent movement toward releasing our limitations, toward allowing all of that stuff to get removed so that the beauty, the imprisoned splendor, can come forth in the world. He says, the truth of our being, though, and I think this is important, cannot Be content until it frees itself of its own misunderstandings, its own fixations, and its own limitations. So what happens to us is we get covered up, just like this marble that Michelangelo works with. We get covered up with the stuff of life, with all of these imprints and these ideas and these beliefs and these self-recriminations. You know, oh man, I'm a bad person. Look what I did. Look at that part of my life. That wasn't very good. We get stuck in that, and we forget that all we have to do is remember who we are and allow ourselves, and I love what he says, see ourselves as holy. See ourselves as holy. Remember our radiance. And you know what he says? We cannot see ourselves as holy until we're seeing our wholeness. Until we're seeing ourselves as perfect and radiant and whole. I love that idea. Dear God, help me to see this whole experience of my life in a different way, in a way that helps me remember who I really am. So what does it look like? And as you came in today, we handed out your handout a little bit early today because I want you to know that you don't have to commit to memory what I'm going to say here because most of it's on the back of your little handout. But I want to tell you, what does it look like when you're actually stepping into expressing your highest, most bright nature, the truth of who you really are? See how many of these you can identify with. And if you're a little shaky in some of these areas, these are areas that you can work on, that you can say, oh yeah, that's a possibility. Okay, this is what it looks like when we know who we really are. We look good. We feel good. We step lightly in the world. We don't go around, you know, pounding and tromping and slamming doors. We step lightly. Our mind is free. Our spirit soars. The whole world responds well to us. The whole world is there for us and it supports our journey. I'm radiant. I'm functioning fully. I'm loving and naturally kind and generous and open and warm and friendly. When I know who I really am, I'm not afraid. I don't doubt everything. I don't second guess everything. I'm not anxious. I don't hold back. I don't withhold my love. I don't withhold myself from life. Don't, you know, go hide in a corner. I'm fully present here and now, and I'm not lost in the past or the future. I'm present right now, fully engaged with the moment as it is. I'm on point, on purpose, and I'm real. There's this deep ease and this deep simplicity about walking in the world. This is what it looks like when we're expressing what Glenda called the awesome human being that we are. When we're able to actually express it. So how do we live our best life and remember our brighter nature? So here's your invitation for the week. Set an intention. Set an intention to remember, to reconnect consciously with your inner light, with who you really are. Set an intention. How do you do that? Get quiet. Go into nature. Listen to music. Go into a place of mindfulness or meditation. Whatever it takes for you to remember who you really are. Set an intention. I need to remember who I am right now. Things are chaotic and swirling and not working very well for me. I need to step back, take a breath, and remember who I really am. I'm forgetting who I am. Be willing to be honest with yourself. Take a look at how things are. Ask yourself, what is it in me that still gets scared? What is it in me that still gets my buttons pushed? Where is it that I still get angry? Where is it that I'm still driven or compulsive? Where is it that this stuff gets in the way for me? Where is it that I feel isolated and separate from life and from the people around me? Where is it that I tap into those places of sorrow? Let me look at that. Where are those spots? So we've got to have an intention to quiet and remember. We have to be willing to take a look at what's getting in the way so that, like Michelangelo, we can work at chipping that away, dealing with it, feel the feelings, of course, but allow it to move through us so that it's no longer a block to our remembering who we really are. Don't avoid it. Face it. Face those times when, you know, something comes up and we have this impulse to act in a way that's unskillful or that might bring forth a bad snapshot, a limited reflection of who we really are. Face it. See yourself with compassion at those times. Oh yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go. You know, I know some people in this room are in 12-step, and I have to tell you, almost 26 years of sobriety for me. And one of those things in my life that can get in the way of my being an awesome human in expression is if I forget that it's one day at a time, and if I forget that one choice can make a big difference in my life. And I am going to confess that after almost 26 years, when I walk down the aisle at, what's that place? Costco, and I see the vodka, right here I start salivating. My body reacts. My body reacts to that impulse, that compulsion, and I get to say, not today. That would get in the way of my being able to be an awesome human being. Maybe for you it's rage, maybe for you it's jealousy, maybe for you it's anger, maybe for you it's fear, maybe for you it's doubting everything and not trusting life. I don't know, that just happens to be one of my things, and like Father Leo says, mine's easy. Mine's easy, I just get to just make the choice not to do it, right? Some of the other things are a little more difficult. But this idea of don't avoid it, just recognize it. If you don't recognize it, how are you going to know it's getting in the way? You got to recognize it. Have the courage to look at it. Have a courage to look at those bad snapshots of yourself where you're going, oh my God, 26 years later and I'm still salivating in the vodka aisle at Costco. This is weird. You got to look at it. Be honest with yourself. See yourself as holy. See yourself as holy with simple compassion. Never forget that beauty's always there. Your inner splendor is always there. It's always there. Your brighter nature is always there. But what we do is we forget. So the invitation is to remember. Each moment, every single breath is a moment to remember who you are. You can always remember. Always remember. And the minute an unskillful thing happens, you can step back and you can choose again. Help me see the truth about myself. Help me be that in the world. And this helps us express our soul's highest purpose. It helps us be that awesome human that Glenda talked about in expression, because that's who we really are. Thank you for listening this morning.